Good morning, Carl. This is going to be the first of these videos. I hope that I'll be doing this every day for you now. Today I'm going to read you the story of Koschei the Deathless. In a certain kingdom there lived a Prince Ivan. He had three sisters. The first was Princess Maria, the second Princess Olga, and the third the Princess Anna. When their father and mother lay at the point of death, they had thus enjoined their son: "Give your sisters in marriage to the very first suitors who come to woo them. Don't go keeping them by you." They died, and the prince buried them, and then, to solace his grief, he went with his sisters into the garden and to stroll. And suddenly the sky was covered by a black cloud. A terrible storm arose. "Let's go home, sisters," he cried. Hardly had they got into the palace when the thunder pealed, the ceiling split open, and into the room where they were came flying a falcon bright. The falcon smote upon the ground and became a brave youth and said, "Hail, Prince Ivan! Before I came as a guest, but now I have come as a wooer. I wish to propose for your sister, the Princess Maria. If you find favour in the eyes of my sister, I will not interfere in her wishes. Let her marry you in God's name." The Princess Maria gave her consent, and the falcon married her and bore her away into his own realm. Days follow days. Hours chase hours. A whole year goes by. One day Prince Ivan and his two sisters went out to stroll in the garden green. Again there arose a storm cloud with whirlwind and lightning. "Let us go home, sisters," cries the prince. Scarcely had they entered the palace when the thunder blazed, the roof burst into a blaze, the ceiling split in twain, and in flew an eagle. The eagle smote upon the ground and became a brave youth. "Hail, Prince Ivan! Before I came as a guest, but now I have come as a wooer." And he asked for the hand of the Princess Olga. Prince Ivan replied, "If you find favour in the eyes of the Princess Olga, then let her marry you. I will not interfere with her liberty of choice." The Princess Olga gave her consent and married the eagle, and the eagle took her and carried her off to his own kingdom. Another year went by, and Prince Ivan said to his younger sister, "Let us go out and stroll in the garden green." They strolled about for a time. Again there rose a storm cloud with whirlwind and lightning. "Let us return home, sister," said he. They returned home, but they hadn't had time to sit down when the thunder crashed, the ceiling split open, and in flew a raven. The raven smote upon the floor and became a brave youth. The former youth had been handsome, but this one was handsomer still. "Well, Prince Ivan, before I came as a wooer, I came as a guest, but now I've come as a wooer. Give me the Princess Anna to wife. I won't interfere with my sister's freedom. If you gain her affections, then let her marry you." So the Princess Anna married the raven, and he bore away to his own realm. Prince Ivan was left alone. A whole year he lived without his sister, and then he grew weary, and he said, "I'll go out in search of my sisters." He got ready for the journey, and he rode, and one day he saw a whole army lying dead in the plain. He cried aloud, "If there be a living man here, let him make answer. Who hath slain this mighty host?" And they replied unto him, "A living man. All this mighty host has been slain by the fair Princess Maria Morevna." Prince Ivan rode on further, and came to a white tent, and forth came to meet him the fair Princess Maria Morevna. "Hail, Prince," says she. "Whither does God send you, and is it of your own free will, or against your will?" Prince Ivan replied, "Not against his will do brave youths ride." "Well, if your business be not pressing, tarry a while in my tent." Thereat was Prince Ivan glad. He spent 2 nights in the tent. He found favour in the eyes of Maria Morevna, and she married him. The fair Princess Maria Morevna carried him off into her own realm. They spent some time together, and then the princess took it into head to go a-warring. So she handed over all the housekeeping affairs to Prince Ivan and gave him these instructions: "Go about everywhere, keep watch over everything, only do not venture to look into that closet there." Now he could not help doing so. The moment Maria Morevna had gone, he rushed to the closet, pulled open the door, and looked in there. There hung Koschei the Deathless, fettered by 12 chains. Then Koschei entered and treated Prince Ivan, saying, "Have pity upon me and give me to drink. 10 years long I have been here in torment. Neither is there eating nor drinking. My throat is utterly dried up." So the prince gave him a bucket full of water. He drank it up and asked for more, saying, "A single bucketful of water will not quench my thirst. Give me more." The prince gave him a second bucketful. Koschei drank it up and asked for a third, and when he'd swallowed the bucketful, he regained his former strength, gave his chains a shake, and broke all 12 at once. "Thanks, Prince Ivan," cried Koschei the Deathless. "Now you will sooner see your own ears than Maria Morevna." And out of the window he flew in the shape of a terrible whirlwind, and he came up with the fair Princess Maria Morevna as she was going her way, and laid hold of her and carried her off home with him. But Prince Ivan wept full sore, and he arraigned himself and went out a-wandering, saying to himself, "Whatever happens, I will go and look for Maria Morevna." One day passed, and another day passed, and at the dawn of the third day he saw a wondrous palace, and by the side of the palace stood an oak, and on the oak sat a falcon bright. Down flew the falcon from the oak, and smoked upon the ground, and turned into a brave youth, and cried aloud, "Ha! Dear brother-in-law, how deals the Lord with you?" Out came running Princess Maria, joyfully greeted her brother Ivan, and began inquiring after his health and telling him all about herself. The prince spent 3 days with them, and then he said, "I cannot abide with you. I must go in search of my wife, the fair Princess Maria Morevna." "Hard will it be you to find," answered the falcon. "At all times, at any events, leave with us your silver spoon. We will look at it and remember you." So Prince Ivan left his silver spoon with the falcons and went on his way again. On he went one day, and on he went another day, and by the dawn of the third day he saw a palace, and still grander than the former one, and hard by the palace stood an oak, and on the oak sat an eagle. Down flew the eagle from the oak, smote the ground, and turned into a brave youth, and cried aloud, "Rise up, Princess Olga, hither comes our brother dear." So the Princess Olga immediately ran to meet him, and began kissing him and embracing him, and asking of his health, and telling him all about herself. With them the Prince Ivan stopped 3 days. Then he said, "I cannot stay here any longer. I'm going to look for my wife, the fair Princess Maria Morevna." "Hard will it be you to find her," replied the eagle. "Leave with us a silver fork. We will look at it and remember you." So he left a silver fork behind. And he went his way, and he travelled 1 day, and he travelled 2 days, Carl. And at the third day he saw a palace grander than the first two. And near the palace stood an oak, and on that oak sat a raven. And down flew the raven from the oak, and smote upon the ground, turning into a brave youth, and cried aloud, "Princess Anna, come forth quickly, our brother is returning." Out ran the Princess Anna, and greeted him joyfully, and began kissing him and embracing him, and asking after his health, and telling him all about herself. Prince Ivan stayed with him 3 days, and he said, "Farewell, I am going to look for my wife, the fair Princess Maria Morevna." "Hard will it be for you to find her," replied the raven. "Anyhow, leave your silver snuff box with us. We will look at it and remember you." The prince handed over his silver snuff box, and took his leave, and went his way. 1 day he went, another day he went, and on the third day he came to where Maria Morevna was. She was caught by the sight of her love, flung her arms around his neck, burst into tears, and exclaimed, "Oh, Prince Ivan, why did you disobey me and go looking into the closet and letting out Koschei the Deathless? Forgive me, Maria Morevna. Remember not the past. Much better fly with me while Koschei the Deathless is out of sight. Perhaps he won't catch us." So they got ready and they fled. Now Koschei the Deathless was out hunting. Towards evening he was returning home, when his good steed stumbled beneath him. "Why stumblest thou, sorry jade? Scentest thou some ill?" The steed replied, "Prince Ivan has come. He has carried off Maria Morevna. Is it possible to catch them? It is possible to sow wheat, and to wait until it grows up, and to reap it, and to thresh it, and to grind it into flour, and to make 5 pies of it, to eat those pies, and then to start in pursuit, and even then to be in time." Koschei galloped off and caught up with Prince Ivan. "Now," says he, "this time I will forgive you in return for your kindness of giving water to drink, and the second time I will forgive you, but the third, beware, I will cut you to bits." Then he took Maria Morevna and carried off, but Prince Ivan sat down on a stone and burst into tears. He wept and wept, and then he returned back again to Maria Morevna. Now Koschei the Deathless happened not to be at home. "Let us fly, Maria Morevna." "Ah, Prince Ivan, he will catch us." "Well, he does catch us. At any event, we have spent an hour together." So they got ready and fled. And as Koschei the Deathless was returning home, his good steed stumbled beneath him. "Why stumblest thou, sorry jade? Scentest thou some ill?" "Prince Ivan has come, and he has carried off Maria Morevna." "Is it possible to catch them?" "It is possible to sow barley, and to wait till it grows up, to reap it and to thresh it, and to brew beer, to drink it ourselves drunk on it, to sleep our fill, and then set off in pursuit, and yet be in time." Koschei galloped off, caught up Prince Ivan. "Didn't I tell you that you should not see Maria Morevna any more than your own ears?" And he took her away and carried her off home with him. Prince Ivan was left there alone. He wept, and then he went back again after Maria Morevna. Koschei appeared to be away from home at that moment. "Let us fly, Maria Morevna." "Ah, Prince Ivan, he is sure to catch us and hew you into pieces." "Let him hew away. I cannot live without you." So they got ready and fled. Koschei the Deathless was returning home when his good steed stumbled beneath him. "Why stumblest thou? Scentest thou any ill?" "Prince Ivan has come, and carried off Maria Morevna." Koschei galloped off, caught Prince Ivan, chopped him into little pieces, put them into a barrel, smeared it with pitch, and bound it with iron hoops, and flung it into the blue sea. But Maria Morevna he carried off home. At that very time the silver articles turned black, which Prince Ivan had left with his brothers-in-law. "Ah," said they, "the evil is accomplished sure enough." Then the eagle hurried to the blue sea, and caught hold of the barrel, and dragged it ashore, and the falcon flew away for the water of life, and the raven flew away for the water of death. And afterwards all 3 met, and they broke open the barrel, took out the remains of Prince Ivan, washed them, and put them together in fitting order. And the raven sprinkled them with the water of life, and the pieces joined together, the body became whole. The falcon sprinkled it with the water of life. Prince Ivan shuddered, stood up, and he said, "Ah, what a time I've been sleeping." "You'd have gone on sleeping a good deal longer if it hadn't been for us," replied his brothers-in-law. "Now come and pay us a visit." "Not so, brothers. I shall go and look for Maria Morevna." And when he had found her, he said to her, Find out from Koschei the Deathless whence he got so good a steed. So Marya Morevna chose a favourable moment and began asking Koschei about this. Koschei replied, "Beyond thrice 9 lands in the 30th kingdom, on the other side of the fiery river, there lives the Baba Yaga. She has so good a mare that she flies right round the world in it every day, and she has many other splendid mares. I watched her herds for 3 days without losing a single mare, and in return for that the Baba Yaga gave me a foal. But how did you get across the fiery river?" "Well, I have a handkerchief of this kind. I wave it thrice on the right hand, there springs up a very lofty bridge, and the fire cannot reach it." Marya Morevna listened to all this and repeated to Prince Ivan, and she carried off the handkerchief and gave it to him. And so he managed to get across the fiery river, and then went on to the Baba Yagas. Long he went on without getting anything to eat or to drink. At last he came to an outlandish bird and its young ones. Says Prince Ivan, "I'll eat one of these chickens." "Don't eat it, Prince Ivan," begs the outlandish bird. "Some time I will do you a good turn." He went on further and saw a hive of bees in the forest. "I'll get a bit of honeycomb," says he. "Don't disturb my honey, Prince Ivan," exclaimed the queen bee. "Some time or other I'll do you a good turn." So he didn't disturb it, but went on. Presently he met there with a lioness with her cub. "Anyway, I'll eat this lion cub," says he. "I'm so hungry I feel quite unwell." "Please let us alone, Prince Ivan," begs the lioness. "Some other time or other I'll do you a good turn." "For well, have it your own way," says he. Hungry and faint, he wandered further and further on, and came at last west of the house of the Baba Yaga. Round the house was set 12 poles in a circle, and each of the 11 of these poles was stuck a human head. The 12th alone remained unoccupied. "Hail, Granny! Hail, Prince Ivan! Wherefore have you come? Is it for your own accord or your compulsion?" "I've come for you to earn from you a heroic steed." "So be it, Prince. You don't have to serve a year with me, but just 3 days. If you take good care of my mares, I will give you a heroic steed. And if you don't, well, you mustn't be annoyed at finding your head stuck up there on the last pole." Prince Ivan agreed to these terms. The Baba Yaga gave him food and drink and bade him set about his business. But the moment he had driven the mares afield, they cocked up their tails and away they tore the meadows in all directions. Before the prince had time to look, they were all out of sight. Thereupon he went to weep and disquiet himself, and sat down upon a stone and went to sleep. But when the sun was near the setting, the outlandish bird came flying up to him and awakened him, saying, "Arise, Prince Ivan, the rays are at home now." The prince arose and returned home. There the Baba Yaga was storming and shrieking at her mares, and shrieking, "Whatever did he come home for? How could we help coming home for?" said they. "There came flying birds from every part of the world, and all but pecked ours." Well, well, tomorrow don't go galloping over the meadows, but disperse amid the thick forests." Prince Ivan slept all night, and in the morning the Baba Yaga says to him, "Mind, Prince, if you don't take good care of the mares, if you lose merely one of them, your bold head will be stuck on that pole." He drove the mares afield. Immediately they cocked up their tails and dispersed among the thick forest. Again the prince sat on the stone and weep, and then go down to sleep. When the sun went down behind the forest, up came running the lioness. "Arise, Prince Ivan, the mares are collected." Prince Ivan rose and went home, and more than ever did the Baba Yaga storm at her mares and shriek, "Whatever did he come back home for? How could we help it coming home? Beasts of prey came running at us from all parts of the world, and all but tore us utterly to pieces. Well, tomorrow run off into the blue sea." Again did Prince Ivan sleep through the night. Next morning the Baba Yaga sent him forth to watch the mares. "If you don't take good care of them," says she, "your bald head will be stuck on that pole." He drove the mares afield. Immediately they cocked up their tails and disappeared from sight, and fled into the blue sea. There they stood up to the necks in water. Prince Ivan sat down from the stone, wept, and fell asleep. When the sun had come up came a flying bee and said, "Arise, Prince Ivan, the mares are all collected, but when you get home, don't let the Baba Yaga set eyes on you, but go into the stable and hide behind the mangers. They will find a sorry colt rolling in the muck. Do you steal it, and at the dead of night ride it away from the house." Prince Ivan arose, slipped into the stable, and lay down behind the mangers, while the Baba Yaga was storming away at her mares and shrieking, "Why did ye come back? How could we help coming back? And there came flying bees in countless numbers from all parts of the world, and began stinging us in all sides until the blood came." The Baba Yaga went to sleep. In the dead of night the Prince Ivan stole the sorry colt, saddled it, jumped up on its back, and galloped away to the fiery river. When he came to that river, he waved the handkerchief 3 times on the right hand, and suddenly, springing goodness knows whence, there hung across the river high in the air a splendid bridge, and the prince rode across the bridge, and he waved the handkerchief twice only on the left hand, and there remained across the river thin, ever so thin a bridge. When the Baba Yaga got up in the morning, the sorry colt was not to be seen. Off she set in pursuit. At full speed did she fly with her iron mortar, urging it on with her pestle, sweeping away her traces with a broom. Carl, a mortar and pestle, they are like an iron rod and a ball, so that can be used to crush things. And the Baba Yaga is a huge version of that to fly. She dashed up the fiery river, and gave a glance and said, "A capital bridge." She drove on to the bridge, but only got halfway before the bridge broke in two, and the Baba Yaga went flop in the river. There truly did she meet with a cruel death. Prince Ivan fattened up the colt into the green meadows, and with it turned into wondrous steed. Then he rode to where Maria Morevna was. She came running out and flung herself on his neck, crying, "By what means has God brought you back to life?" "Thus and thus," says he. "Now come along with me." "I'm afraid, Prince Ivan, if Koschei catches us, you will be cut into pieces again." "No, he won't catch us. I have a splendid heroic steed now and flies just like a bird." So they got back on, uh, and so they got on its back and rode away. Koschei the Deathless was returning home when his horse stumbled beneath him. "What art thou stumbling for, sorry jade? Dost thou scent any ill? Prince Ivan has come and carried off Maria Morevna. Can we catch them? God knows. Prince Ivan has a horse now which is better than I." "Well, I can't stand it," says Koschei the Deathless. "I will pursue." After a time he came up with Prince Ivan, lighted upon the ground, and was going to chop at him with his short sword. But that moment Prince Ivan's horse smote Koschei the Deathless with a full swing of its hoof and cracked his skull, and the prince made it end him with a club. And afterwards the prince heaped up a pile of wood and set fire to it, and burnt Koschei the Deathless on the pyre, and scattered his ashes to the wind. Then Maria Morevna mounted Koschei's horse, and Prince Ivan got his own, and they rode away to find first the raven, and then the eagle, and then the falcon. And wherever they went they met with a joyful greeting. "Ah, Prince Ivan, why, we never expected to see you again. Well, it wasn't for nothing that you gave yourself so much trouble. Such a beauty as Maria Morevna one might search for all the world over, and never find one like her." So they visited and they feasted, and afterwards they went off to their own realm. And that, Carl, is the tale of the death of Koschei the Deathless. And tomorrow I will hope to read you another story.